Energy is not just a word hidden inside physics textbooks or complicated equations written on a chalkboard. It is the quiet rule that runs the entire universe, whether anyone notices it or not. Every movement, every thought, every change in the world happens because energy moves, shifts, and transforms. Nothing in existence escapes this rule. Not the stars above, not the ground beneath your feet, and certainly not your own life. But here is the uncomfortable reality most people never stop to think about. The universe runs on one of the most precise systems imaginable, while most people move through their lives with almost no awareness of it. They chase results, chase success, chase change, but they never stop to understand the single principle that controls every outcome they experience. Look closely at the world around you. A tree grows toward the sunlight because energy from the sun feeds it. Rivers carve their way through mountains because moving water carries energy forward. Your heart beats because chemical energy inside your body is constantly transforming into motion. Even the thoughts forming inside your mind right now are powered by tiny electrical signals moving through your brain. Nothing happens without energy. Not a single action. Not a single change. Not a single result. And once this truth becomes clear, another realization follows immediately. Every outcome in your life is connected to the energy flowing through it. The effort you invest, the attention you focus, the discipline you maintain, these are not abstract ideas. They are real forms of energy being directed toward a result. The universe keeps perfect records of this process. Energy never disappears. It never magically appears out of nowhere. It only transforms from one form into another. Motion becomes heat. Fuel becomes movement. Light becomes life. The equation always balances. Nature never makes emotional decisions. It never rewards excuses or intentions. It simply follows the flow of energy with absolute precision. When energy is directed clearly, something happens. When it is scattered, diluted, or wasted, the results fade away. Most people spend their lives trying to break rules that cannot be broken. They want outcomes without effort, change without pressure, progress without investment. But the universe does not operate on hope or wishful thinking. It operates on energy. And the moment your mind truly understands that simple idea, the way you see reality begins to shift. Energy is the universe's accounting system. Every change that happens anywhere must follow the same strict rule. The numbers must balance. Nothing is allowed to disappear. Nothing is allowed to appear out of nowhere. Energy simply moves, shifts, and transforms from one form into another, and the universe keeps track of it with perfect precision. This rule applies everywhere. Inside atoms, inside stars, inside your own body. When food enters your body, it does not simply vanish. Chemical energy stored in that food becomes heat, motion, and electrical signals moving through your nervous system. When muscles move, they convert stored chemical energy into mechanical energy. Even the smallest action, like lifting a finger or forming a thought, follows the same fundamental exchange. The same rule governs the entire cosmos. A star shines because nuclear energy deep inside its core transforms into light and heat. That light travels across space and eventually reaches planets. On Earth, that energy becomes wind, ocean currents, forests, and life itself. Every transformation follows the same rule. Energy flows forward and changes form, but the total never disappears. Nature does not allow shortcuts. It does not bend the rules for convenience or reward intentions. It simply balances the equation every time. If energy is invested in one place, something happens somewhere else. If energy spreads or weakens, the effect becomes smaller. This is where most people completely misunderstand how reality works. They expect outcomes without understanding the energy behind them. They expect results while putting in scattered attention, weak effort, and inconsistent focus. Then confusion appears when the output is small or non-existent. But the universe is not confused. It is simply following the equation. Energy in becomes energy out. The form may change, but the balance remains. Effort transforms into progress. Focus transforms into clarity. Repeated action transforms into skill. The system is brutally honest and perfectly fair at the same time. Every machine ever built relies on this rule. Engines burn fuel to create motion. Batteries release stored energy to power devices. Power plants transform heat, water, or sunlight into electricity. None of these systems work unless energy flows into them first. Human lives follow the same structure, even if most people pretend otherwise. Every result is connected to the energy placed into the system. Attention, effort, time, discipline, these are all forms of input. They feed the equation, whether someone recognizes it or not. The universe does not care about what someone hopes will happen. It only responds to what energy is actually present in the system. Here's the first harsh realization most people try to avoid. Every result that appears in life follows an energy equation, whether someone believes it or not. Outcomes are not mysterious accidents. They are the natural consequence of what energy was placed into the system and how consistently it was directed. Think about any skill that exists: strength, intelligence, creativity, mastery. None of them appear out of nowhere. They grow because energy is invested repeatedly over time. Attention is focused. Effort is applied. Mistakes are corrected. The input keeps feeding the system until the output finally changes, but most people refuse to accept this simple structure. They want progress without pressure. They want change without discomfort. They want results without giving the process the energy it demands. That expectation collides directly with reality. The universe does not reward wishes. It does not reward vague intentions or temporary excitement. It only responds to actual energy entering the system. Weak effort produces weak outcomes. Scattered focus produces scattered progress. Inconsistent discipline produces inconsistent results. The equation remains brutally honest every single time. This is why frustration appears so often in people's lives. Someone claims they want growth, yet their attention is divided across endless distractions. Someone claims they want mastery, yet the energy invested is shallow and irregular. When the output fails to match the expectation, confusion follows. But there is nothing confusing about it. The equation was never balanced in the first place. Energy determines movement. When enough energy pushes in a clear direction, change becomes unavoidable. When that energy is diluted, progress slows or disappears entirely. It is the same rule that governs motion in physics. A strong force creates acceleration. A weak force barely moves anything at all. Human effort follows the same structure. Focus is a form of force. Discipline is a form of sustained energy. Time multiplies the effect of both. When these elements align, something powerful begins to happen. Progress compounds, skills sharpen, clarity increases. When they are missing, the system stalls. The brutal truth is simple but difficult to accept. Life is not unfair in the way people often imagine. Most outcomes are the direct reflection of energy distribution. Where energy is invested consistently, results grow. Where energy is scattered or withheld, results shrink. The universe does not punish laziness or reward effort out of emotion. It simply follows the equation. But there is another rule hiding beneath this system, and it is even more uncomfortable to accept. Energy never disappears, but it does something else that most people underestimate. It spreads, it disperses. And when it spreads too far, it becomes weak and almost useless. In physics, this tendency has a name. Energy naturally moves from concentrated forms into scattered ones. A hot object cools down as its energy spreads into the surrounding air. A tightly focused burst of power slowly fades as it spreads across space. Order slowly drifts toward disorder. This quiet process happens everywhere in the universe. The same pattern quietly shapes human lives. Energy that is focused can move mountains. Energy that is scattered struggles to move anything at all. The difference between the two often comes down to attention. When attention is sharp and directed, effort becomes powerful. When attention is divided, energy leaks away in small invisible pieces. And most people leak energy constantly without realizing it. Every distraction pulls a little energy away. Every unnecessary worry drains a little more. Endless streams of information flood the mind, scattering focus across hundreds of directions. None of it feels dramatic in the moment. Each distraction seems small and harmless. But energy does not vanish when it is wasted. It simply spreads so thin that it stops producing meaningful results. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Slowly, the power that could have been concentrated into learning, building, or thinking dissolves into fragments of attention. The result is a strange feeling of exhaustion without progress. Effort is being spent, but nothing meaningful seems to move forward. The system is not broken. It is simply following the same rule that governs heat, flowing through air, or waves spreading across water. Energy that is not controlled naturally drifts outward until its impact fades. This is why focus is so rare and so powerful. Concentrated energy creates direction. Direction creates momentum. Momentum creates change. Without that concentration, effort becomes noise rather than force. The difficult realization is that most limitations people experience are not caused by lack of ability. They are caused by scattered energy. The potential was always there, but it was never gathered in one place long enough to create real movement. Nature quietly demonstrates this principle everywhere. A beam of sunlight warms a surface gently, but when that same light is concentrated into a single point, it can ignite fire. The energy did not increase, it was simply focused. And that difference changes everything. Now step back and look at something far bigger. The sun releases an enormous amount of energy every single second. That energy does not stay locked inside the star. It travels outward across the vast emptiness of space, spreading in every direction. Most of it disappears into darkness, but a small portion reaches a tiny planet orbiting far away. When that energy touches Earth, something extraordinary happens. Sunlight warms the oceans and lifts water into the atmosphere. That movement creates clouds, storms, and wind. The same sunlight feeds plants, and those plants become the foundation of nearly every food chain on the planet. Forests grow, animals move, ecosystems evolve, and life continues because a distant star constantly sends energy across space. One source. Countless transformations. The energy that begins as nuclear reactions deep inside the sun eventually becomes moving air, flowing rivers, growing forests, and living organisms. It becomes the fuel for every heartbeat and every breath taken by living creatures. The path may be long and complex, but the rule never changes. Energy flows forward and becomes something new. This same structure exists on a much smaller scale inside your own life. Energy enters the system in many forms: food, rest, information, and attention. Each of these inputs has the potential to transform into something greater. Focused attention becomes understanding. Understanding becomes ideas. Ideas become actions. Actions slowly reshape the world around you. But this transformation does not happen automatically. The energy must be directed. When sunlight reaches fertile soil, life grows. When the same sunlight falls on empty rock, almost nothing changes. The energy is the same, yet the outcome is completely different because the conditions are different. Human potential works in a similar way. Energy flows into your life every day, but the direction of that energy determines what it becomes. If attention is directed toward learning, knowledge expands. If effort is directed toward building something meaningful, progress begins to appear. When energy is invested in growth, small changes accumulate over time. The universe constantly demonstrates that transformation is possible when energy is allowed to flow through the right channels. Massive stars, entire ecosystems, and the rhythms of life all follow this pattern. Energy moves, transforms, and builds complexity from simple beginnings. Understanding that process changes the way the world looks. Suddenly every action, every thought, and every decision becomes part of a larger flow. Energy is always moving, always transforming, always shaping what comes next. Most people completely misunderstand what energy really is. They treat it like motivation, a fleeting feeling that comes and goes. Something you have or don't have, depending on mood or circumstance. That's nonsense. Energy is not a feeling. It is a system. It is a set of rules that govern how everything moves, changes, and grows. It is measurable, predictable, and brutally honest. Think about your own body. Food is to just fuel. It is stored chemical energy. Sleep isn't to just rest. It restores energy reserves and repairs systems. Attention isn't to just focus. It, a form of mental energy that powers every decision, every idea, and every action. These inputs are real. They are tangible. They determine exactly what you can accomplish in a day, a week, a year. Now consider what happens when these inputs are wasted. Eating poorly, sleeping poorly, letting your mind drift aimlessly, they all leak energy without producing meaningful output. The system never lies. Energy goes where it is directed, and if it is scattered, diluted, or ignored, nothing productive emerges. You cannot cheat the rules. You cannot hope to perform at your best while simultaneously ignoring the mechanics of energy in your life. The cruel truth is that most people live as if energy is infinite. They assume they can burn time, attention, and effort recklessly without consequences. They scroll endlessly, gossip endlessly, chase temporary highs, and then wonder why their lives feel stuck. They blame luck, blame circumstances, blame others, but the problem was never external. It was always a failure to respect the system that governs energy flow. Energy is simple. Input, transformation, output. The energy you place into a task, a goal, or a habit directly determines the outcome. Invested haphazardly, and results vanish. Concentrated, guarded, and directed deliberately, and results begin to compound. Most people never reach this understanding because they confuse temporary feelings with permanent systems. Motivation is fleeting. Energy is structural. Motivation might get you started, but without proper management of energy, nothing lasts, nothing grows, nothing transforms. This is why results often feel random or unfair. They are not random. They are precisely proportional to how energy has been used, nothing more, nothing less. And until you recognize this, your life will remain at the mercy of scattered, wasted energy that never produces the outcomes you crave. Here is the truth most people refuse to face. Your attention is the most valuable energy you possess, and yet, right now, most of it is being wasted. Every scroll through your phone, every pointless argument, every fleeting distraction siphons away energy that could be building something meaningful. You are pouring fuel into a car full of holes, and then wondering why you aren't moving forward. Most people assume that because energy cannot be created or destroyed, it doesn't matter how they spend it. That is wrong. Energy always transforms. If you scatter your attention across endless distractions, it spreads so thin that nothing significant happens. You think you're doing something, but in reality, your most valuable force, the force that powers your mind, body, and life, is leaking away in invisible drips. This is brutal but simple. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Your focus creates power. Your distractions dilute it. If you want to accomplish anything that matters, you cannot allow your energy to wander. You cannot let it drift toward trivialities while serious goals sit waiting for action. The sad truth is most people never even notice how much energy they give away. Days are spent in fragments, hours lost to mindless scrolling, fleeting entertainment, meaningless interactions. By the time they notice, years have passed. The energy that could have built skills, created wealth, or sparked transformation is gone. It did disappear. It transformed into noise, chaos, and wasted potential. Think of it like this: concentrated energy can ignite fire. Scattered energy barely warms the room. The difference is not in the amount, it is in the focus. The same quantity of energy can either power life-changing breakthroughs or fuel endless distractions, depending on where you direct it. The world will never hand you clarity. It will never deliver focus on a silver platter. If you want to harness your energy, you must claim it consciously. You must track where it goes. You must choose every single day what deserves your attention and what does not. Your life is the sum of every choice of focus you make. Every single minute, every single thought, every single action. Most people let theirs slip away. You don't have to. When you start protecting and directing your attention like it is the most precious resource in existence, because it is, you start creating results that were impossible before. This is not optional. This is physics. This is reality. Here is the question most people never ask themselves. Where is your energy really going? Not in vague terms, not in excuses, not in theory right now, in reality. Where is it flowing? Because until you answer that honestly, your life will feel chaotic, unpredictable, and frustrating, and nothing you try will stick. Look at your time, your attention, your effort. How much of it leaks into distractions that do not serve you? How much is spent reacting instead of acting? How much energy is given away to things that produce nothing meaningful in return? Most people never track this, and they wonder why progress feels impossible. The system is unforgiving. Energy that is scattered becomes weak. Energy that is unfocused turns into noise. And yet most people behave as if their attention and effort are infinite, as if the universe will make up for their lack of focus. That is a lie. Nature does care about your excuses. It only responds to actual input. When you start asking where your energy goes, patterns appear. Suddenly, wasted hours become obvious. Distractions that seemed harmless reveal themselves as persistent drains. Your output, what you actually accomplish, is directly tied to how you direct your energy. There is no magic in this, no shortcuts. Only a law as precise as gravity. Tracking energy is uncomfortable because it exposes brutal truths. Some efforts you thought were meaningful are nothing but leaks. Some routines you relied on are actually drains. Some habits are excuses dressed as action. Facing this reality hurts, but it is necessary. Until you confront it, scattered energy will control your life. The powerful realization is that once you see exactly where your energy goes, you gain control. You can start redirecting it toward things that produce real results. Focus becomes a choice, not a fleeting feeling. Discipline becomes actionable, not abstract. The chaos of life begins to make sense because energy obeys rules, and rules can be understood. When you track energy honestly, life stops feeling random. Results stop feeling like luck. you begin to predict outcomes. You begin to create momentum. You begin to understand that every thought, every decision, every minute of attention carries weight. Your mind is a system. Your life is an equation. And the moment you start calculating honestly, the scattered energy that once controlled you can now be harnessed to create real transformation. Here, the shift that most people never make, and it changes everything. Stop chasing motivation. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and utterly dependent on feelings that come and go. Energy is not a mood. Energy is a system. It is structural. It obeys rules, and it responds only to how it is directed. The real power comes from managing energy, not hoping for motivation to appear. Guard your attention like it is gold, because it is. Every thought you focus on, every task you commit to, every minute you spend on learning or creating multiplies the effect of energy. Every distraction, every pointless habit, every wasted moment dilutes it. Your results depend entirely on where energy flows and how consistently you direct it. Invest energy into things that multiply it. Learning, thinking, creating, these are not abstract suggestions. They are forms of concentrated input that compound into output. Ideas become action. Action becomes skill. Skill becomes results. The transformation is inevitable if energy is focused long enough and consistently enough. The harsh truth is that small, invisible choices determine the trajectory of life. Ignoring energy leaks, allowing distractions to dominate, and giving attention away freely guarantees that potential remains dormant. There are no shortcuts, no hacks, no secret shortcuts to bypass this law. Energy must be invested, and invested wisely, to produce results. When people finally grasp this, clarity appears. The chaos of life begins to make sense. Missed opportunities are no longer mysterious. Stalled progress is no longer a surprise. Energy is simply following the rules, and now you can follow it instead of being pushed around by it. This is not inspiration. This is physics. This is reality. And the small shift, thinking like a system, managing energy instead of hoping for motivation, creates leverage that can multiply everything else in your life. You can let your energy drift into distractions and mediocrity, or you can claim it, concentrate it, and direct it toward what actually matters. The choice is yours, and the results will be brutal in their honesty. Energy always tells the truth. It always follows the rules. It never rewards half measures. The moment you treat energy as the system it is, you stop drifting. You start creating. You begin building momentum that no fleeting feeling could ever match. This is the mindset shift that separates action from inaction, mastery from mediocrity, and potential from wasted life. So here, as the final challenge, and it's not comfortable, for the next 1 hours, watch where your energy goes. Every thought, every action, every minute of attention. Most people will never do this. They will keep scattering their energy, pouring it into distractions, and wondering why nothing changes. But if you start noticing, really tracking the flow of your energy, something powerful happens. You stop reacting blindly. You start acting with purpose. You stop wasting potential. You start directing your life, instead of letting it be directed for you. Every choice becomes meaningful, because you know exactly where your power is going. This is not about motivation. It's about managing energy like a system, like a law that cannot be broken. When you do this consistently, momentum appears. Skills develop. Ideas turn into action. Small focused inputs compound into massive outputs. The universe responds perfectly to directed energy. The truth is brutal. Most people fail not because they lack talent, not because circumstances are against them, but because they scatter the energy they already have. Your mind, your focus, your attention, these are your most valuable resources. Protect them, invest them, multiply them. If this insight hits you, act on it. Guard your attention. Focus your energy, transform your life. Don't wait. Every moment you spend scattered is a moment lost forever. If this perspective on energy opened your mind, if it made you see the hidden rules behind how everything moves and changes, then take action right now. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this wake-up call, and subscribe to my channel for more mind-blowing physics insights. Understand energy, direct it, and watch your life transform.